How's it going, everybody? It's Nick Atkin here. This is the one on SK MMA Podcast. Good to be back. Hope you're all good. Nice to see some people in the chat, some familiar faces already. Ego Kind, what's up? How you doing? I might be joined soon by Mr. Tristan Sitsongpinong. I'm not sure actually. I'm checking with him. But Kyle's gonna join. Good old Kyle Diamond. I forgot to send Kyle the link until about 2 minutes ago. So sorry, Kyle. He's going to be here. But good to be back. Plenty of news to talk about this week. It's been last couple of days have been super busy actually. A lot of big news suddenly broke, starting with Masaki Noiri is now with one championship. That is huge news. You would have to presume he's going to be joining the featherweight kickboxing Grand Prix, which I don't know when is going to start, but Chatri told me that's the plan to have Chingiz, Alazov, and Superbon in that Grand Prix. Chingiz will be defending his belt. So the winner of this Grand Prix will get a Grand Prix belt and the world title. And you'd imagine Prajanchai might be in that, and Marat Grigorian, Sitachai. Yeah, it should be a great Grand Prix. But definitely now some extra fizz added to it, some extra attention, some extra eyes will be on it. The former two-division K1 champion Masaaki Noiri has joined one and will be joining that Grand Prix, you would imagine. How's it going, everyone? Shout out to Rex at the back. Fizz, yeah, there you can see him here. My arm's covering it. Yeah, Rex, if you're a fan of Toy Story, if you know, you know. He's in the background there. But I got all my one merch here. Rex is actually wearing a one championship cap, so it's covering his eyes. So he's not technically one championship, so I had to dress him up slightly so that he fits the vibe. He's in. Yes, Michael Owens is happy about it. Let us know your reactions to this news. Chatri dropped it on his Facebook yesterday. I will get to his post in a bit. The other big news we're going to talk about, yes, Joshua Pacio is out injured. It seems for a while, could be a year. My buddy Nisia Casiano, the best Filipino reporter out there. If you like one championship, you need to follow this guy. Trust me, go follow him, Nisia Casiano. Especially if you follow the Filipino fighters, there's no one better out there covering the sport and as well connected as he is. He got the scoop. Pacio is injured. You might think it is. When I first saw the story, we'll bring up the story in a bit, but my fear initially was, oh, it's that neck injury that Joshua suffered against Jared Brooks in Qatar, but it's not. It's an ACL. It's something in his knee, apparently. So I'm not sure when he did that, but in the story it says something along the lines of it happened before the fight. Yeah, he went into the fight in Qatar with that problem. So yeah, tough one. I don't know how you slice. How do you dice it either way? Yeah, I guess it's good. It's not a neck injury because that could be more severe and career threatening. So positive there, bonus. But it's a little scary still. Yeah, Pacio is going to be out at least 8 months. So a lot of ramifications for that, you imagine, including what they're going to do with that belt because Joshua Pacio won that belt on a technicality, so to speak. He won it on DQ after being KO'd by being slammed on his head by Jared Brooks in Qatar. So he's three-time strawweight MMA champion in one, but he will not be defending that belt at least until 2025, you would imagine. So I had been saying they should do the immediate rematch. What they do now, we'll get into it in a bit. Fizz was with Pacio for dinner earlier. Oh, I'm jealous, Fizz. What did you guys have? Oh, I'm intrigued. He's my fave. I love Joshua too. He's a very nice guy. I would love to have dinner with him. I've never had dinner with him. I've probably been in the same room as him for breakfast, maybe even in Qatar. But no, I have not been lucky Tell us what you. Oh, pizza. There you go. I see. The champ is injured now, so he's letting loose, letting the diet go. I like to see that. No, wishing Joshua all the best, and I hope he's back soon. But here's my illustrious co-host, Kyle Diamond. Good to see you, Kyle. Sorry to, I forgot about you. I forgot to send you the link. I forgot to even ask you if you could do it. Apologies. Good to see you again. How's it going?
Yeah, good man. Yeah, I mean, it actually worked out quite well. When I saw the post to say that you were going to go live, I was like, oh, I'm actually just about to finish up work for the day, so I will sit and watch this one from
you
behind the
don't
scenes
have
for a change. So I was gonna be watching anyway. So
okay.
it ended up being absolutely fine.
So I haven't ruined your day. Sorry.
No.
Apologies. We'll try and keep it brief. Keep it to an hour or so. I was actually I didn't know what we can talk about, but yeah, a couple of big stories popped up in the last 24 hours, which is cool. I'll get your take on it soon. But yeah, good to see some other people in the chat. Let us know how you're feeling about this big new signing for One Championship. First of all, Kyle, I'm going to throw it to you though. What was your reaction when you saw Masaki Noiri has signed with One, and looks like yes, he's going to be involved. You'd imagine in this Grand Prix, which will be starting later this year.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy to see that it was confirmed and nice and early as well. Obviously, we only had the announcement of the Grand Prix was it last week now, so it seemed like when the Grand Prix got announced, that was the thing that people wanted to talk about the most. Like even in regards to the fact of Chingiz being involved, it was like, well, there's that, and then the other big thing was whether he was going to get signed for this Grand Prix. So yeah, exciting. I think that a lot of people are going to be looking forward to this Grand Prix more for that, to see how he fares against some of these guys, and I'm excited as well just to see some of these matchups that people have wanted to see for a long time, and see how well he does. And going straight into a Grand Prix is a great way to see how he fares up against some of these guys, and in a very, very good division as well. So yeah, exciting times, I think.
This is fun from Connor. What's up, Connor? So Noiri is the mystery number one contender in the featherweight kickboxing rankings. I don't know if you saw. I put it on Twitter the other day, maybe last week, that the number one spot in the kickboxing rankings is vacant. Not even. Yeah, I didn't. Let me show you. It was so weird. I don't know if they've updated it now, but last week it definitely said vacant instead of just having Marat Gregorian stay there. You know, they couldn't have him be number one because he had lost to. Yeah, it's still vacant. This is so bizarre. I'm putting it on screen now. What do you think of them doing this? I understand why they do it because you'd be like, oh yeah, why do you want to bump Marat or because Superbon has now gone up to interim. Superbon would have been in that number one spot. Now he's interim. I guess you don't want to throw Marat up there on 2 title fight losses. And you can't really put Sidichai above Marat because Marat just beat him. And Prajanchai, yeah. And Giorgio Petrosian is still there, number 5. Hasn't fought in 3 years. So, yeah, you'd imagine Mr. Masaki maybe going in there soon, right?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel a little bit weird to when you posted it, it was like, okay, well, pretty much everyone knows is hoping that that's who. It does feel a little bit weird to like make him a spot in the I mean, every single show of these we've done, we've found some kind of issue with whichever division's rankings we're talking about, right? Like, I'm not saying that this is like breaking new ground for One Championship to have something strange in the rankings, but it does feel a little bit weird to like open up a spot for him before he's even announced to be with the promotion. Feels a little bit like we're playing Mortal Kombat and we haven't unlocked him yet. But yeah, I imagine that will get changed before he debuts. But again, given the track record for the One Championship rankings, maybe it'll stay as a vacant spot. I don't know. I think at this point, I don't want to like blow smoke or anything, but I think someone should just pay you, Nick, to do these rankings and to sort them all out, because we spend more time, I think, speaking about them and the errors in them than I would imagine that anyone else spends looking at them. Like,
don't get me started, Kyle. I'm supposed to be on the rankings panel, but I stopped getting the emails. I used to get them, and then I would send my rankings after every event, and then nothing I did mattered anyway. But I still did it. But yeah, I don't even get the emails anymore. Sort it out, guys. Come on. I've given them my new email address. Obviously, I did change my email address because of recent events, but I provided them with my address. So if they want some real rankings, they know where to go. Come at me, guys. Right, Michael Owens is excited about this. He remembers watching him fight Roya on New Year's Eve in the K1 Koshin tournament. I pronounced all this right. Sorry. I looked that up, and that was 2009. So I feel very old right now. You are very old, Michael. I'm sure. If you're my age, I'm also old. How old are you, Kyle? Sorry to ask you live on air. Is this inappropriate?
No, I'm 25, which always surprises people because I've always looked younger than I actually am. But yeah,
you look young but sound old, and I don't know if that's it's kind of a mixture of compliment and insult, I guess, but it's not meant to be. Yeah,
I'll take that. That sounds like a pretty good trade-off to me.
I like that. Yeah, I would like to have that. I thought it probably sounds worse than I mean it to be. It's actually a compliment. Right. Anonymous can't wait until Noiri finally fights in 2 years. Yeah, there we go. Is this Grand Prix actually going to happen, Kyle? Because been no official update on it. I don't see any of the fights happening on the 167 card in June, which is fully booked now. We'll get to that later as well. And from what I've seen of the August card, there's none of these Grand Prix fights on that one. September is when we get to Denver. So maybe it's going to start in Denver, but definitely won't be finishing this year then, if that's the case, right?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like, a little bit uncertain, I suppose. There's always the concern with these kinds of things, and one has a track record for it of like they're just not going to work out how you would want them to. So I'll feel a little bit more confident once we do get some opening dates announced and things like that for the first round. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to be too optimistic in not thinking about that kind of stuff, because I was just like, oh yeah, it's going to happen and it'll be cool. But yeah, there is a little bit of cause for concern for that. Although I probably expected to see first round matchups before the Denver card, but I think that would also make a lot of sense to do it there. But if you'd asked me to put like money on it beforehand, I would have said that we probably would have got a couple of fights in it before Denver, and yeah, like you said, that doesn't really look possible at the moment. So it is a little bit like, where are they going to fit all of this in with everything else that's going on? And then yeah, how do you have it play out for the rest of the year, potentially into next year? Yeah, that seems like a bit of a headache at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just getting PTSD, from this open weight Muay Thai Grand Prix that never happened. Hopefully this one happens, but I was just about to make this point, but Beyond Kickboxing also made it, so I'll bring this up on screen. What's up, guys? Says first round in September for the Japan event would make sense. And yeah, now you think about it, that would be great. Pretty much know that Rodtang and Takira are going to be the main event. So why not make it a kickboxing showcase? Japan loves its kickboxing. We know that. You could have all 4 first round fights on that card. I would like that because the last Tokyo card, obviously great main event, but I thought pretty much everything else on there was not up to the high standards that you would want on a pay-per-view. There was some cool stuff, Marat, Sidichai, but there was a lot of weird stuff like Sexyama and Nikki Holskin, and I know some of it was out of their hands, like the nonsense that happened with Sage. So you had Lineker versus Aoki, but I'd like to see them properly stack that Tokyo card the way they used to do. The first 2 Tokyo events they held in 2019 were just absolute barn burners. Do you like that idea, Carl? Bit of a kickboxing showcase in September in Tokyo.
Yeah, I mean, it like considering if I was hoping that it stays together and we do get Takira and Rodtang on that card, and then you've got those the featherweight Grand Prix opening matchups, some big names, of course, that are going to be in that. You've got Nori's one championship debut, potentially Hiroki Akimoto on that card. Like that could end up being really big. And I feel like the one earlier this year with when we ended up getting Superlek and Takeru, I really liked the card on paper, but it did feel a little bit like scrambling to find things that are going to pique people's interest. Like, oh, we have to get Shinya and Sage on this one, and then yeah, the whole sexy armor thing was confusing to say the least. But even some of the fights that I thought were going to be good on that card didn't end up living up to it. But I think that if you are going to, play the safest hand, it is to do that and stack it with striking matchups. The Grand Prix seems like the obvious one to do, and then capping it off with Rodtang and Takeru sounds like it could be a contender for one of the best cards of the year if they do end up making all of that happen on the same night.
It could be 5 months. It is another 5 months though. That's the problem, as Beyond Kickboxing point out. So yes, if you like Noiri, he won't be making his debut anytime soon. It looks like. That's a shame. And yeah, it would mean Chingas is out for over a year. And I mean, I'm happy for Superbond to get a bit of a rest. He's had a busy 4 months or so, didn't he? He was in a couple of big title fights in December and April. So happy for Bon to rest up. But let's see. Yeah, it'd be a while to wait. But at the moment, one is only doing. Whoa, that suddenly went really bright. It's like, did you see that? What happened? It was insane. Blinded me. That's why I don't have these things normally, Kyle. These, what are they called? Oh, yeah, the ring lights. Yeah. But I thought I'd dabble with one today, but it nearly killed me. All right. What was I talking about? What nonsense was I saying? June is booked. There's only like one big event at the moment, a month, right? We had this nice stretch, January to March, where we were getting 2 big cards a month. So plenty of fights to go round. But yeah, right now we're locked in at one event a month again, unless you consider these big Friday fights, temples. But what do you think, Carl? You feel like there's room for another big show? I thought June we were going to get this numbered event, right? 167, and then we were going to have our usual fight night. So I thought we'd get 2 events, and it is a lot more work, and it's a lot more stuff to deal with. But as a fan, you think fans would appreciate having a couple of big shows every month, right?
Yeah, I thought that that would be a good step to make. Admittedly, I think the card is really good for 1167. So would we have had as good a card if they had to split some of those maybe over 2 events? Maybe not. But yeah, I was looking forward to that and potentially moving towards having a fight night card alongside some of those big numbered ones. It does feel like as of late, I know that we had the big Friday fights card that maybe didn't live up to expectations in some way, and then we had a fight night on the same night. But it does feel like it's been a little bit of a, like you said, we had a fast start to the year with a couple of those big numbered cards and stuff, and then it does feel a little bit at the moment like we're in a little bit of a downtime period. I know that there are still obviously the Friday fights cards happening, and we do have a fight night coming up at the start of the month, and then you got about you've got a full month until 1167. So it does feel like there is a little bit more time at the moment, a little bit more like looking ahead to the future than what's happening in the next week or so. But I am excited for hopefully that run of the 2 American cards, Japan in the middle. Like I think that should heat it up quite a lot. But it does feel like the middle of the year maybe is missing something big, even though we do have 1167. And like I said, I do think that card is looking pretty good.
Yes, we will look to that. They have added a fight or 2 in the last week, so we will have another quick look at that later. I'm just going to go into the chat, see some familiar faces. Brian Lucero, hello, saying Denise versus Stamp. Talking of that card, who's your bet to win? I'm going with Stamp. Kyle, you?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like Denise a lot. I just think Stamp will be able to handle everything she brings and former training partners. But it was a while ago, Carl, wasn't it? They haven't trained together for a few years now. So you would think Denise has evolved. I know Stamp's evolved, but what about Denise? Maybe we're not giving her enough credit. But from what I've seen in her last few fights, I just wouldn't see anything to worry Stamp, right?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how they approach it, considering the fact that Denise has trained with Stamp in the past. Because I feel like, if you've trained with Stamp in the past and then you're going to fight her, that that like that makes it interesting because now you know how outmatched or not outmatched you are whilst standing with her, and I just feel like the obvious thing is always going to be if somebody can grapple with Stamp and take away that striking. And it's not like Denise is like a good grappler, but it's not, her main skill set. So I feel like it's hard to imagine anyone beating Stamp if they don't have that kind of the counter to her striking in the form of a grappling background or speciality or something like that.
Have they announced the Tokyo venue? Asks Keith. Hello, Keith. They have not. I believe it's the Ariake Arena again, but I'm not certain on that. I think it worked for them because it's just it's a good event space, right? A lot of events are held in Ariake, so it's just got the infrastructure for it. So you've got these big soulless hotels, this big arena. It feels like a convention space. There's just lots of these big conventionally sized buildings, and the drawback is that it's out in the middle of nowhere. You don't really feel like you're in Tokyo per se. It's hard to get into the good parts of Tokyo. I didn't do anything when I was there last time. So if it is Ariake, I'll be booking a couple days before and after to actually do some sightseeing and all that stuff. But it may be somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe that arena was tied up with a Beamer and now it's no longer a Beamer. So who knows? Maybe Beyond Kickboxing can give us some info in the chat. They may have heard some more. Yes. Anyway, Aiden Ong, hello. Can't wait for Adrian's debut, the Phenom. Yes, he will. Adrien Lee will be debuting in a month. Is it? He's won 167, isn't he? So
Yeah.
I think we can cover that in a bit. We will get to those fights. Anonymous. Here's an idea. Do what one refuses to do. Use your platform to create a top 10 rankings for every sport and division in one. Everyone will have to acknowledge it eventually. Yeah, I was sort of toying with this idea when I was still working at SCMP. I was gonna make some pound for pound rankings, and yeah, but it's a lot of work to do. Yeah, I'm sure Beyond Kickboxing guys will tell you it's a lot of effort to keep those things going, and everyone always just argues with you whatever you put. So it's kind of a thankless task. But I don't know. We could maybe consider it on Sportskeeda, Kyle. Huh? I'd have to talk to the right people. But would you be up for being on an esteemed Sportskeeda rankings panel, perhaps?
Yeah, I feel like that would be the best way to do it. I've had the same thing with in the past having conversations about doing like a ranking system for MMA fighters in the UK, and like you said, it's the same problem of like it's so much work to do, and that's just compiling, the list, let alone coming up with the ranking and trying not to upset anyone in the process, whilst also trying to be accurate. Like it really is not fun to do, but considering the state of the One Championship rankings, I feel like it would be pretty useful to have an up to date one. But yeah, like you said, it's not easy.
Yes, could become the Thanos of the one rankings. Anonymous says, "Fine, I'll do it myself." I would love to. I feel like my rankings would be way better.
I
Maybe
mean,
not all the divisions, but
pretty much all the divisions have like someone in there that either hasn't fought in a few years
yeah,
or hasn't got a win in their last few fights. So I feel like by default yours would be better, if not a lot better. just because you know those
I
people
think
would
they'd be
probably
more
not get in.
logical. Yeah, I'd hope they'd make more sense, but we'll see. We'll see. I know there are certain reasons why one don't put certain people in, and sometimes it's just because they're not contracted to one. A lot of people want to see some of the Friday fights people in the rankings, but because they're on these one fight deals, I guess one don't want to put them in a ranking spot. But there are some very, very bizarre things, and you do see people popping up in there when they've suddenly got a big fight and they've not been in the rankings until they got booked for this big fight. So, I do disagree with some of the way it's done, but it is what it is. I don't lose sleep over it. Rankings are all a bit silly anyway. Dark Side, what's up? Says 2 shows a month is what they badly need. I would even take Fight Night at Lumpini numbered in Singapore. Why can't they do that? Yeah, I thought that was the model that was moving towards, guys. Seemed to be that way in January, February, March. It was busy as hell, but it was a lot of fights and people were getting paid, which is good. Now we're stalling a little bit again. Keith, any news on One's relationship with Amazon? No, I don't know anything about that. Sorry, but I don't know. It seems like the fight we talked about it before the show. The fight night cards seem to be watered down a little bit lately, but the one next week looks quite good, as we said. Yeah, it's a pretty tasty card. I think they're starting to build them back up again. There were a few weaker cards on paper at the start of this year, but it's starting to come back. August, from what I've heard of August, sounds quite tasty as well, but can't really discuss that too much. But you'll hear about that stuff soon, I'm sure. There you go, Lifestyler. Hey, Nick, do you care to comment on how much dollars Hong Kong paid you to become a permanent resident? Global bidding war to have the most sought-after sports journalists today. Canada's disappointed. Yeah, this is other breaking news, guys. I am officially a permanent resident of the great special administrative region of Hong Kong. Maybe I shouldn't put my number on. Today I picked up my permanent ID card, Kyle. It's been so I've officially now. I'm a resident officially. I'm a citizen or whatever you call it. I can live here permanently. I don't need a visa anymore to work and live in the city. I can come and go as I please, as long as I don't spend more than 3 years consecutively away. Are you jealous, Kyle, of this incredible thing that I have now got? Sorry, I'm just happy. Yeah, it's been a while, but
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, I mean I am jealous. But that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, it was touch and go if I would get it, because you got to spend 7 years here to get it and I did like 6 years, 11 months with my old company, and then they told me it'd be fine if you didn't have that last month. But I was still a little bit worried about there might be a technicality, but it was pretty easy. I just filled in some forms, and here we go. So I'm very happy with that. But no, they didn't have to pay me, Lifestyler. They didn't have to pay me anything. I would pay Hong Kong money to be here. I do pay money to be here, I guess, in tax, but I don't think they care. I'm a sports journalist, though. If Canada wants me, they could put a bid in, Lifestyler. Let me know how much it pays. RMT says Panpayak status. I don't know anything about that either. Connor heard he's coming back to one in May from his team. I heard the same thing, yeah, but nothing official yet. Stamp's a very good grappler, just not good at takedowns, says Anonymous. Yeah, back on Stamp. Just going through these comments here, sorry. Yeah, if you want to make a rankings, Darkside, you do it. We could do it on Twitter. Right. Make the rankings based on win, lose, activity, etc. Nobody can argue facts. Yeah, I like that. Tetsuya What's up? Says I think One's matchmaking team is doing better now. Since this time they released the full card for Fight Night 22 almost 1 month in advance. Normally it's 2 weeks max. Some fighters get 1 week notice. That's a good point, Kyle. I was going to say the same thing. I feel like we're finally getting some semblance of normalcy back with the booking of these events. It's not just all happening a few weeks before the show. We're actually getting an event 2 months out, right? It's much better like that. You can hype it up. Fans can know what they're buying tickets for. If fights fall off the card, you've got time to rebook things, right?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I'm so used to recording like a preview for it on the week of the card and then posting the video up, and then the graphic comes out and being like, oh, that's annoying. That would have been really helpful to have for recording the video on fight week. So to get it like a month in advance, like it makes me more excited for the event, because every time I go onto their Instagram page to check out something that I need or whatever, it's there. And so I don't have to seek it out as much and put it together myself of like, okay, so this is going on this card, this has been announced, but it's not on the website yet. It's just all there. And yeah, I'm super happy about that. I feel like it's maybe not the biggest thing for some people, but I think for people who tune into every event, having that there is just like, with plenty of time before the event, is such a nice change, like such a benefit, even though it is just posting a graphic up of fights that have already been announced.
But it seems to improve the quality of matchups for me as well. I just think when you're not booking things on the fly and scratching around, you know how it is when you get to the supermarket late, right? And then the shelves are a bit empty. You're just scratching around, maybe looking in the reduced aisle. All the good stuff's gone, That's what happens when you leave it late. But the shelves are fully stocked now, Kyle, aren't they? For 167 and one Fight Night 22 is looking good as well. Next month or next week, even. It's technically next month as well. I'll be there. But yeah, I expect the Denver card is going to be very nicely stacked as well. It seems like they're already sorting that out, and Tokyo and Atlanta. So I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy to see the back of these rushed cards where just seems like no thought has really gone into it, and it's just what can we get at the last minute. So I'm happy with that. May and June cards are very solid, says Connor. Yes, the fans are happy. So take note, One Championship. That is a good thing to do. Right. Well, we'll talk about this 167 card in a bit, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper on this Joshua Pacio news. So I'm gonna give Nissi his flowers again, and I'll put this story on screen. So in case you missed it, guys, Joshua Pacio, the strawweight MMA champion in One Championship, is out injured. Here it is, exclusive in the tiebreaker times from Nissi. Joshua Pacio won't be reporting for duty in the foreseeable future, writes Nissi. Tiebreaker Times obtained a medical document revealing the 28-year-old Baguio City native suffered an ACL tear in his right knee, a serious injury with significant implications for an athlete of his caliber. Sources close to the situation suggest the injury might have occurred during Pacio's intense preparations for his highly anticipated rematch against Jared Brooks in March. Insider information indicates the Lions Nation MMA representative had been experiencing pain in his right knee weeks before his fight. Okay. Yes, I don't want to read the whole article. Sorry, Nissi. So go read the article, guys. Tiebreakertimes.com. Or follow Nissi on Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. But important to note, yes, it is not the neck injury, Kyle, that he suffered in that fight, although he's still having some problems with that. This article says he has a cervicomuscular strain in his neck, which needs rest and therapy. And when I was in Bangkok last, I spoke to Edward Falayang, who was there with Jeremy Pacio, and I asked Edward because I heard Joshua had this MRI that Nissi mentions here, a follow up MRI. So that was they still were waiting for that. So it sounds like he's had that MRI now, during which it was confirmed he had sustained the ACL injury. So he went for a neck scan and then found out he had a ACL injury. Sucks for Pacio, right, Kyle? Because it sucks for the fans, I think, as well. Which, I mean, I personally was hoping for a quick return for Joshua, and then we can do that trilogy with Jared Brooks. But now looks like we're gonna have to wait for that, Kyle, right?
Yeah, it's gutting, I think, because it kind of felt like, I know that obviously Joshua had the fight in between the two fights with Jared. It kind of felt like, especially obviously because he won, that it was kind of like, yeah, okay, let's get the rematch done. Like let's do it now and settle this little rivalry between them. And then obviously what happens, and you're like, okay, we're gonna have to do a third one, so this is gonna get extended another 6 months maybe. And now you're probably looking at it's gonna be extended from that date in Qatar another year and a half maybe. So it's a bit frustrating. And strawweight's been like, even when the MMA divisions in one have been not active across the board, strawweight has like seemed to be one of the ones that was able to keep going. So it's obviously disappointing for the division as a whole, but also Brooks and Pacio, because I'm sure both of them, after what happened, would have just been hoping to get back in there as soon as they were both fully fit, so that they could basically run the rematch back, because it didn't really get much time to actually happen. So yeah, I'm gutted about this one. And yeah, it sucks for both those guys and the rest of the division, because the whole division is going to have to wait 16 months now, you would imagine, unless they do an interim title maybe with Brooks against one of the top contenders in the meantime. But I feel like the risk you run with that is, if Brooks loses, I feel like the fight that everyone wants to see is Brooks and Pacio. So if you have someone else win the interim title, then it ruins that. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But we're gonna be chatting about it for a long time. I know that much.
For sure. I think interim title makes sense, but as Fizz was pointing out earlier, I think it was Fizz says, yes, some champions like the Lees and Janet Todd haven't defended in 1 or 2 years. Janet Todd was 4 years, guys, so it shouldn't be a problem. LOL. Yeah, I agree. There have been cases of that, but I would hope they make an interim belt still. But I can see them just not doing it, which kind of annoys me. But I wouldn't be surprised. But maybe there's a case, Kyle, that is there anyone, if you're going to book an interim fight, presuming you're booking Jared Brooks, who's the dance partner? Is anyone worthy of a title shot? And does that really matter, given some of the people we've seen get interim or title fights in one? So a lot of times we see debutants come in and get title shots, like Alexei Nicholas last month, and he beat Eric Universal, so it was a shock. But is there anyone you feel deserves that shot to face Jared for an interim belt?
um, it's tough. It's made even more difficult, I would say, by Brooks's run to the title, where he beat multiple top contenders before that first fight with Pacio. So you I don't really see an argument for it being any of them, and they're between Bokang and Lito, they're like the guys that are on winning streaks in the division right now. So it's tough to imagine who would get the fight. I think maybe one of those two guys, like, but it seems a little bit like, without there being someone that you're like, oh, perfect, match them up with Brooks for the interim title. It feels to me like it's more likely that one probably won't do it. I think if there was an argument there for being like, oh well, this guy is deserving of a title shot, so they can't wait that long, then you can make the Brooks fight happen. But it kind of still feels like Pacio and Brooks are kind of in a league of their own right now in the division.
Well, Connor says, I'd like to see Brooks versus Bokang 2 for the interim title in Atlanta. Anonymous says, Gustavo Ballart's been on a long winning streak and has never fought Brooks. That's a good point. I do know some thing. I cannot really say much about it, but expect some news soon is all I would say that may clarify the situation. So, yeah, I hate to be cryptic, but I don't think he'll be waiting too long, guys, to sort of see what happens next with this. So that's all. Yeah, sorry. I want to say it, but yeah, I hate to be cryptic, guys. Sorry. Right, one matchmakers, Prajanchai versus Daniel Williams for the interim makes perfect sense. Yeah, there's been some funny matches, haven't there? But I could just see them saying, "Oh well, we can't do an interim belt because Jared's beaten them all already, and who's the other one?" Yeah, so maybe if Mansour Malakiev got another win because he's not fought Brooks either. We'll see, though. We'll see. But I just feel we probably won't get an interim title because we all know they're not going all out with the MMA at the moment. So I think it was Muay Thai, you might be getting that, or kickboxing, but I'm not sure they're in a rush to really throw any more MMA belts out there. They seem to be stalling a lot of divisions for one reason or another. But as you said, Carl, strawweight's always been active, even when these other divisions have been stalling, and that's why I think, yeah, why not? Let's have an interim belt. And given the way it happened in Qatar, I'd like to see Jared get a. Oh, Kyle's being summoned. Something.
All good.
All right, yeah. Anyway, we're moving on. Ballard versus Brooks would be epic. It says Fizz. Yeah, I like that fight. Yeah. So, but anyway, guys, stay tuned for some news soon. The only fight I care about, says Ego Kind, is Prajanchai versus JDB. Yes, I had hoped this fight would be booked, Kyle, on June 167, but that's looking full up now. So, not sure when that's going to happen. It's not next week. I think Chatri initially hoped, yeah, maybe they could run it back straight away in May on Fight Night 22, but Della's back in Canada now. If they come back out, I think the earliest, I think, I mean, I know they want it in June. They were looking at that 167. I talked to Della's dad. So, yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. What do you think, Kyle? Where do you see it landing? Maybe August or what?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know when the next big tentpole Friday fights card is, but I would imagine it would be on that. Because no, we get a fight night event in August, don't we? Because it's September is Denver, so potentially a fight night in August, or I would say one of the big Friday fights cards. But obviously,
Yeah.
I would have loved for it to happen sooner rather than later, but I get that it's a difficult position for JDB and his team of like, we can do it now or we can do it, or we can push it back. We can't really do it in the middle, so it's a bit awkward. I mean, that would have been crazy to have that on 1167 as well. That would have been a busy night, but I mean, it would have been cool, but I feel like if we don't get it, if we get it any later than August, it'll be a bit frustrating, I think.
Agreed. Yeah, maybe I think it'll be July when they do this tentpole card next. So that probably makes most sense. Or the July fight night, something like that. So yeah, as quick as possible would be good. But yeah, it's a shame what happened. Anyway, we'll get it next. I don't think they're gonna move on from the fight at least, so that's good. Chester, what's up? Saying I say Gustavo should face Brooks for the interim. Yep, a few people like that idea. They should save JDB versus Prajanchai for July or August at this point, says Anonymous. RMT says, do you agree with Stamp main event over Superlek versus Haggerty 2? Those two arguably top 2 pound for pound in the world. Yes. Carl, what do you think? John Flower counters to that. What does pound for pound have to do with marketing? So, yeah, do you think it's right to put Stamp at the top of the bill in America, especially given the reaction she got last time? And, she is one of the top 2 or 3 stars in one championship, I'd say, especially in America with their audience. So, you feel it makes sense to have her in the main event instead of Superlek Haggerty 2?
Yeah, definitely. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm more excited for Haggerty and Superlek, but I don't think that there's like even if you eliminate the fact that obviously if Stamp defends the title against Denise, even if you take away the fact that she's going for 2-weight status and everything like that, I think even if you just had Stamp in, you could just have Stamp in like a 3-round Muay Thai contest, and I think that would be a main event, like arguably over Superlek and Haggerty. Not that Superlek and Haggerty obviously isn't an incredible fight, it is, but I just think Stamp is so much bigger for the US fans, and the impact that she made in Colorado as well last year, like just the reaction she got from the fans out there, but then the performance as well felt very much like Stamp doing what she does best. So yeah, at first I was a little bit like, oh well, that's an interesting call, and then over time it's kind of really sunk in of like how it there really is no debate for not having Stamp in the main event, unless you had maybe like Rodtang on the card or something like that. I feel like she's the clear person to main event that card.
Connor says, yes, Stamp will get a bigger pop from the US fans, even though Superlek and Haggerty is a much bigger fight, in my opinion. Yeah, it makes sense, I'm not going to criticize one for doing it. I will not. Yeah, I'm happy with what they're doing. I could see the argument, yeah, Anonymous RMT is making. I could see the point, yeah. And I also considered that, like, wow, wouldn't you want that to be your main event? That fight, could be incredible. The Stamp Denise fight may not actually, Stamp Young fight may not be as good. So I see both sides of it, but I'm fine with it. Fair enough, says RMT. I feel Superlek got a lot more popular after beating Rodtang and Takeru, and Haggerty is rising in popularity as well. Denise doesn't carry the same name value. So it's Stamp and Zhang, right? Yeah, for the strawweight belt. So the Denise one is in June. So yeah, but still, it's the same thing. Zhang, I think, doesn't carry popularity, the same name value as Superlek or Haggerty, for many reasons. She doesn't get much of a push, I feel, but yeah, you can't deny Superlek has gained a lot of, I wouldn't say notoriety, but because that makes him sound bad, but his name has risen after beating Rodtang and Takeru back to back. You cannot argue otherwise, right, Kyle? But do you think Superlek is on the level of a Stamp or a Rodtang yet? I don't think so in terms of popularity.
No, I don't think so. Like, I think that everyone is going to be talking about the Superlek and Haggerty fight when we get to fight week, but in terms of just attracting eyeballs to the event and stuff like that, having Stamp in the main event, and she's going for 2-weight world champ status, providing that she beats Denise and defends the atomweight title. I feel like that is the thing that is going to generate the most headlines, is going to generate the most interest, even though people who know are going to be tuning in to watch Superlek and Haggerty. Like, that is 100% the better fight, but that doesn't always equate. Like, Superlek definitely does get more attention now after those 2 fights, I think. But even still, like, if you were going to put him, for the US fans, they're not. I don't think most of them are going to care that much that like he beat Rod Tang. They would still, want to see Rod Tang over him because of the social media clips, all of that stuff, and Stamp has that going for her as well. That, like I said, even if this wasn't her going for 2-weight world champ status and things like that, I think that she is still, the biggest name on this card in the US for sure.
Yes, John Flower says, good point. You get to see both, but Stamp will draw more eyes. And Tetsuya points out Stamp's IG followers equals Superlek plus Haggerty, and her IG reels does great views. One of her reels recently got 53.2 million views. Yes, I can attest when you get the rub from Stamp on social media, it goes well. I've had some big hits with her before. She is a superstar. I trust they know what they're doing as well. They'll have all the information they need to make these decisions. So yeah, I've got no problem with it. Right. Any ideas on who Nico Carrillo and Anissa Mexon are fighting? I do know, but I can't say it on the show. But you won't be disappointed, I think, guys. Yeah, I think you'll like the fights, and I'm just glad Anissa's back. Wasn't sure what's going on with her after she lost to Petjija. And I'm glad Nico's got a fight. I worried Kyle Nico might be in purgatory, right? Because Haggerty's tied up and he's already beaten Nong-O, so he's in this weird spot, isn't he? Being the number one contender to a belt he's not going to get to fight for at least a year, you'd imagine, right?
Yeah, it's a strange position to be in, but I'm glad that he is gonna keep fighting and like I think we said on the last episode that we did, just keep that the only thing you could do is keep proving yourself, keep racking up wins, and because it makes people talk, it's going to make people put more pressure on one and Haggerty for him to get that title shot. So just keep doing what you're doing, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited to see what that is.
Yeah, and Mexon, you glad she's not going away? I know some people were a little bit. It was uncertain, wasn't it? Because given the age and the one thing she had been missing was a belt in one to top off her career, and it seemed like that chance had gone. So happy she's still here.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't have put money on it happening. So, but not because I don't want to see it. Like I'm glad that she's gonna stick around. It does always add, a little bit more interest to any fight that she's a part of because of her pedigree. Like the Petjija fight at the end of last year. There was like we haven't seen her in a while, but I'm still excited because it's, even just for somebody like Petjija to share the ring with her and to get a win over her is a big moment for her in her career. So even if it's just that it adds more stakes to the matchup because it's like the reputation that Anissa has and what she's achieved in her career, yeah, it makes it more exciting. So good to see her stick around and yeah, I look forward to it.
Yes, I am happy she's back. Right, is Takeru still injured? Will he fight soon? Well, we know he's going to fight in September. Or I think it's late September. Yeah, against Rodtang. So I know he's training. He's not fully. He's not kicking yet. I think it's the last update I heard. But I feel like he'll be on target for that one. Lara Fernandez is in what seems to be a fight camp in Thailand. I wonder if it's Mexican she's preparing for. It is not, no. But I'd like to see Lara back. She's great. And yeah, that the signs seem to indicate she is coming back soon. Right. Let's hit this 167 card quickly then, because they added a couple of fights since we were last live. Looks like a pretty good card. Yeah, as we talked about last week, Rodtang and Dennis Puric. But the two fights that have been added, or one fight even, Adrien Lee. Yes, one for this card and one for next week. So we'll do this one first. Adrien Lee versus Antonio Mamarela of Australia. I thought he would be Italian, perhaps Italian Australian. But Adrien Lee is making his debut. Kyle, 18 years old or 19, I can't remember. Obviously, a lot of emotion around this one, given what happened with his family over the last couple of years, Kyle. But you excited to see Adrien compete? He obviously comes in with a lot of pedigree, two champions for siblings, Adrien and Angela and Christian Lee. Yes, but obviously tragic circumstances with what happened with his sister Victoria Lee taking her own life, December 2022. It's 23, 22. If I got it right. It's been an emotional time for the Lee family, obviously, right?
Yeah. It does feel just it feels correct in a way that the first Lee to be fighting since that happened is Adrien Lee, and we kind of get like the start of potentially a new one of the Lee siblings going on to achieve hopefully some great things in one championship. Like obviously you're always going to have the pressure of having that name and having siblings that have become world champions. So I'm interested to see how well he does and things like that, because I feel like we've been hearing about the potential that he has for a long time. As I said, you're always going to get extra attention and extra eyeballs because of the surname. So I'm just excited to actually see him fight. I'm not, going to get my hopes up and start saying that he's going to be a world champion in a year or whatever, but I'm just excited to see him, and I'm excited to see the Lee family back doing what they do best.
Yeah, I'm happy to see them back, and it's also great to see the gym, United MMA Hawaii. I think they've renamed it in Victoria's honor as the Prodigy Training Center, which is a nice touch. And kudos to them. It looks like Christian's going to be running that operation, and there's a charitable arm to it. I'll try and find it on Instagram to give it a plug. But yeah, you like to see such things, and it's going to be difficult, Kyle, isn't it? Just the first one back is always going to be tough for the family, and it's Adrien, so it's kind of even more pressure on him. There's going to be all the questions from the media, going to say, bringing up this horrible tragedy. But yes, the Prodigy Training Center. Give them a follow, guys. It's very noble objectives here. Prodigy Training Center was established to provide a safe space for all ages to come together and learn martial arts. We believe in the importance of teaching self-defense, promoting physical activity, and giving back to the community. Founded by Christian Lee, the one championship lightweight and welterweight world champion, his goal is to give back, share his martial arts knowledge with the community. Nice stuff. Go follow them, guys. But Kyle, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of talk, isn't there? It's gonna be dominating that fight week. Do you feel it might be tough for Adrien to kind of block out that noise?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Like even in regular circumstances, like even if Christian had come back first, it would have been a lot of pressure anyway, just because we've been hearing about Adrien Lee, and then it's like, oh, he signs to one championship, and that's obviously a big story, and then so it's always going to be a big thing. But with that as well, it's interesting to see how he does, because like I said, I'm just going to try and take it at face value of seeing how he does and his performance and things like that. But of course, that is going to be a huge story hanging over this fight, whether whether he lets that bother him or affect him at all or not. Like, it's going to be something he's going to be speaking about before and after the fight. So yeah, it's a big test to come into one championship and have to deal with all of that at the same time.
Yeah, as Connor points out, Adrian's already actually had a fight. I think maybe two, definitely one amateur fight since Victoria passed away. So I guess, yeah, it's not going to be anything new, but it's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? Yeah, making your pro debut on one championship. It's going to be, there were probably no media duties with the amateur fight, and he would have been protected from, people asking him about everything. So, yeah, I hope one, can. I'm sure there will be talking to Adrian and the family, and they'll hopefully protect him enough. I wouldn't be surprised, if they didn't put him up for interview in fight week, and I wouldn't have a problem with that as well, because there's already so much pressure on this kid's shoulders just by debuting in one, and you add in everything with Victoria, and then you got to remember his age, and we see what the toll of pressure can take. Angela Lee talked about it a lot in her article on the Players Tribune about her own suicidal thoughts she was going through, and the pressure she was feeling when she was so young, and she was the champion in one. So I just hope, let's not pile all this pressure on Adrian and talk about future champion and a third league champion, and just let Adrian take his time and do it his way. And no need to just pile on. And if he doesn't want to talk about Victoria, let's not question it. Let's not. Yeah, I hope the media are responsible with this kid in the next few weeks, next couple months, and I hope he's not. If he's not ready to talk about it, then I hope he's not put in that spot where he has to. If he is ready to talk about it and he wants to, then by all means, that's great. But it's up to Adrian. Let's see. At the end of the day, he is still a kid, and he's been through a horrible tragedy. But I'm excited, Kyle, to see him. That's the bottom line, right? The guy looks very promising.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, to just go to the fact that it's a prospect that we've been hearing about for a long time, making their one championship debut away from everything else. I'm just excited for that. Most of all, away from all of the other stuff that's going to be hanging over this fight. I'm just excited to see what he can do on fight night, and I can get excited about his performance over anything else, or like you said, even looking ahead too much to the future. I just want to see him fight and see what his style is like, see what he's capable of, and see how he performs on the night.
Yeah. Anonymous says Christian Lee's such a solid fighter. It'd be cool if he creates proteges with his fighting style. Yeah, and I imagine Christian's going to be there in Bangkok with Adrian, so maybe we'll get an update on Christian's future, and maybe Christian's gonna. We haven't really heard much from Christian since then, and so that's his right. We shouldn't be prying into his life either. If he's ready to talk about it, we can hear what he has to say. But anyway, do you think they should have grappling only events with no cage? The cage blocks a lot of submissions. Yeah, RMT. I've kind of campaigned for that on this podcast before. I have suggested that as an idea. Host get a small intimate venue, maybe in America, put it on one's YouTube, cater to the grappling niche. But I don't think they'll do it. Nick Scully, hello Nick, saying looks like I'm going to Denver now. The UFC have effed up catering to Yanks. 3 a.m. main event is about as enjoyable as bowel surgery. Yes, so UFC 304, they announced today, right, Kyle, is in Manchester, but it starts at 3 a.m., the main card. Now, this is funny. My first ever combat sports event live work covering and watching as a fan was UFC. I don't know the number. I think it was like 2-0 something. Bisping versus Henderson 2
204.
in
Yeah.
Manchester. Yeah, 204. And it started at 3 a.m. Or maybe it was 2 a.m., but it definitely finished extremely late. And the press conference finished about 6:30 a.m. And I left the arena. It was sunrise. I hopped straight on a train and I was writing up my piece for ESPN on the train when I fell asleep midway through writing my piece. But I woke up, finished it, and there it was, my stunning featured on the front page of ESPN.com. A very fun day that was. But what do you make of this, Kyle? Maybe you're going to be there. You're going to go up to Manchester and watch this show, which begins at 3 a.m. Presumably for US audiences, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would go if I was covering it, but I don't know if I will be. And the ticket prices for the UFC in the UK are pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'll be going, but yeah, I don't know. It's a bit. It feels frustrating, especially because there was a UFC pay-per-view in England last year, and that was at UK time, which was great. It felt like we kind of turned a corner on that, and then so for the UFC to kind of make a big thing about how we changed the plans because the UK scene is doing really well right now. There's two champions from the UK for the first time ever, and then to cater to the American audience, it feels a little bit like it's just a bit not great. Which I mean, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago with the whole 1167 thing. So I guess that ties in. It's like it's a little bit it's bittersweet because it's cool to have a big event in the UK, but to make a big effort to go to saying about how you're promoting this event as like the UK fans deserve it, the MMA scene's doing great over there, and then to be like, oh, but it's going to be on at this time to benefit someone else is a bit like, well, but at the same time, it probably means the card is going to be very big and have a lot of big fights on it, 2 title fights and stuff like that. So, if it means that you get it or you don't, I think most people would choose to still have it, but it does feel a little bit like a step back when they did it last year at UK time.
But yeah, I'm sure it'll still be sold out within a minute. And
for sure.
I remember being there. The crowd was so up for it, and that was 2016. And I'd like to think in the 8 years since, the UK is even more mad about MMA, way more mad. So yeah, I think it'll still be a great atmosphere. The fans will be up for it. It's difficult for fighters to really, especially if they're based in the UK, to kind of adjust for that time. I remember Bisping was really struggling with that, and he was talking about how he had to sort of the lengths he had to go to get on American time. Whereas if you're Dan Henderson, you just fly in, you just stay on the time zone you're in, you never really try and adjust, right? But anyway, Nick Scully should stop the no-gi and replace it with combat BJJ. That would be sick. Yeah, I agree. But yes, Nick, go to Denver. I can show you around my limited knowledge of downtown Denver. But if it's a choice between that, yeah, Denver'll be a good card. And it's not too far, I guess, from the UK. Anyway, the crowd is going to be at that UFC Manchester at 3 a.m. Yes. Going to be pretty hammered. That's what Keith meant. Yeah, they will be pretty hammered for sure. What they'll do is they'll just get drunk. Is that a Saturday night?
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah, so they'll just have their normal Saturday night, and then they'll head to Manchester Arena. Or is that a new venue, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the venue called?
The Co-op Live.
The Co-op Live. So it's the biggest indoor arena, apparently.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be just over 20,000.
Is that in the world?
No, it's just in the UK.
Okay. 20,000 all seated, 23,500 with standing. So I guess there'll be no standing because of the cage. That's a pretty big arena. That's going to be interesting. I'm just looking where it is. Oh, so it's out near the Man City Stadium. Oh, just right by the Etihad. Okay, that makes sense. But a little bit further out, isn't it? I don't know. It felt like when I was there for the last one, yeah, the Manchester Arena is we're kind of close to middle of town. You can walk there. I just walked there from the hotel, or I say hotel, I was staying in a youth hostel. But if you head out to the Etihad, yeah, you got to get a cab, I think, or a tram. I'm not sure.
Anyway. Yeah, I mean that's going to be tough with over 20,000 people.
Yeah, pissed up fans. Let's see how it goes. Who you got between Superlek and Haggerty? RMT asks. Going back and forth on this one. I think Superlek, yeah. But I'm not counting Haggerty out at all. And if Haggerty beats Superlek, then wow, that's incredible. But yeah, I just think Superlek is the best pound for pound striker on the planet. And he'll find a way, especially if he's got 6 months to build up his frame. Right. Where's Lin Shin? Any fight news with Itsuki Hirata? Well, Itsuki's fighting on this card in June against Victoria Souza. Lin Shin, no idea. Yeah. 14 squid. Oh, sorry, 145 quid to Iceland Air to Manchester to Denver. From Manchester to Denver, cheaper than a UFC ticket. Go to Denver then. I'll see you there. Oh yeah, you get the bit. It's fun. And you know what? Just stay. You're close to so many incredible, beautiful, natural. The surroundings insane. Like so many incredible hikes. I don't know if you like that stuff, Nick, but you're like a 10, 15-minute drive, half hour from some of the most incredible nature you'll ever see. So it's definitely worth it. RMT agree. Haggerty showed weakness in his last fight. Superlek is the best right now, and his boxing continues to improve. Have you got a pick, Kyle?
Yeah, I think I'm leaning slightly towards Superlek. I am interested to see how he looks up at bantamweight because Haggerty kind of had that adjustment period in that we saw like in the fights. So I'm a little bit that adds some interest to me. But I think, you know, if they were to fight and there wasn't that like added thing of Superlek going up in weight, and I think a lot of people expect him to look good at bantamweight anyway, so it's not a huge question mark hanging over it. But I think if you take that out of the equation and you just boil it down to which one of them is the better striker, I think, you know, it's hard to argue against Superlek, even though I do massively rate Jonathan Haggerty, and I do think, you know, I'm not counting him out of the fight at all. He very much still is in with a chance of winning, and it would be a huge win if he pulls it off.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely. All right, very quickly, there was one more fight I wanted to talk about, which has been added to this card, which is next week, One Fight Night 22. It is the return of Canada's favorite son. Is it this one or
he's on the 167 card? They must just
right.
have added it.
So I was right. Website. Okay, it was 167. Okay, Ben Tynan, guys, against Mauro Cirilli. Have I got it right? Yes, it will be in June. It's not on the website, but we can talk about that quickly. Yeah, Ben Tynan's back. He fought last month. Good win. He's on a roll, 2-0-1. He wanted Malakin, Kyle, but he's got Mauro. Is that what? Are you happy with that for him?
I think that it's a pretty good next test. I think that we spoke about this last week with Dennis Puric and about fighters using their spotlight well to get the things that they want. And all right, he didn't get the Malakin fight, but the whole narrative of this fight with Mauro is going to be, if he wins this, it's probably Malakin next. So like, I think Ben's doing great work, and this seems to me like a next logical step. Mauro's fought some of the top guys in the division, so yeah, it makes sense for me, and could be huge if Ben wins it and calls out Malakin again, because I feel like 3 wins in a row will probably be enough to see him get that shot.
Yeah, you'd think, but I'm happy for Ben to take it slow, so to speak, and he could fight with Rugrug or Buchecha. There's a few guys he could still fight. Amir Ali Akbari is also kicking around. No rush. Yeah, let Ben go through everyone. I think it would be a great fight with Malakin. But yeah, perhaps you could say there's people in line first. Amir Ali Akbari and our guy Rugrug. So I think maybe Buchecha makes sense if he beats Mauro, because Buchecha needs a win to get back into the mix, and that could be the one. And I think I asked Ben about that, and he says there's always this rivalry between BJJ guys and wrestlers. So he wants to prove wrestling's better by taking on Buchecha. He wants that fight. He wants them all. He's open for anybody. Connor says, I like the way one is building Ben Tainan, great rising contender from Canada. If he wins decisively, says Anonymous, they can easily book him again for Denver or Atlanta. Yes, I don't think he took any damage last time or in his first fight. So yeah, I feel not to diss Mauro, but yeah, I feel Ben might be getting another impressive victory here. All right. Any news on Rugrug or Almeida? They haven't fought for a while. No news on them, but we know Rugrug resigned. Buchecha was in Qatar just doing promotional stuff, so he's around. John Flowers says he's not ready. That is Ben Tainan for Anatoly. Not that the heavyweight division is loaded with fights still talent. Yeah, that's what I mean. I'd like to see Ben maybe get a few more fights first, keep feeling his way through in one. Right. How can one improve the heavier divisions, says RMT, after lightweight don't have much talent in welterweight, middleweight, and light heavyweight, and heavyweight is incredibly shallow. Yeah, I mean, they've never really put too much emphasis on it. It's difficult to find people in Asia who can fit those divisions. They look like they were kind of going for it with the heavyweight division. They made a lot of nice signings, stalled a little bit, but maybe you could say it's back on track now. But light heavyweight is absolutely non-existent. Middleweight is very shallow. Yeah, welterweight is also in trouble. So that is the ongoing frustration many fans have with one. Sign more fighters. Yeah, that's the easy answer, says John Lauer. Right. Kyle, we'll leave it here, I think.
Sounds
Any
good.
famous last words from you? What's coming up?
No, I don't think so. I'm kind of, we got a few days left of the month, but I'm kind of wrapping up for the month, I think. Looking forward to the one fight night that we've got coming up at the start of May. I'm sure we'll probably chat about that next week anyway. So yeah, looking forward to that. The YouTube channel is Kyle Diamond MMA. I'll put some stuff up probably about that card in the next week or so. So yeah, apart from that, nothing too crazy. Cracking on with a couple of things for fighters only that have got me researching niche things, which is always fun. So yeah, busy, but yeah, nothing too crazy.
All right. Well, yeah, go follow Kyle, everyone. Follow me if you don't already. And like this video, please. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Hit that notification button, whatever it is. If you want to know when the podcast's going live, you don't want to be caught off guard. Yeah, hit that notification button. Hopefully be back before next week, because I didn't do one on Monday. So who knows? Might do one on Friday or something like that. Maybe Saturday. Who knows? Or Thursday. No, tomorrow I cannot. I'm playing football for the first time in what feels like 8 months. R.I.P. my legs. But oh god, I think we're going to be definitely doing another show because it seems like there's some big news is going to drop imminently, but not imminently enough. I've just been told to make it onto this show because we're finishing it now. But yes, keep your eyes peeled if you're a One Championship fan. Something is happening, I hear, soon. So there will probably be another podcast in the next couple of days. Right. Kyle, thank you. And see you all again. Thanks everyone in the chat. We'll see you all again.